You are not alone. How I realized I struggled with an eating disorder. This video is part 2 of a 4-part series on eating disorders.
That have been great, that have been father figures and father-like to me. That I would say that, but in terms of him, I just felt like, I just felt like you just don't hear that from your dad. Like, we weren't close, but I guess it hurt. And those experiences led to me battling with weight throughout my childhood, throughout my teenage years, and what I'm realizing is now, and that was a lot. I'm gonna take a second to breathe. But what I'm realizing is it's not normal and it wasn't healthy. And it wasn't until this most recent experience of having my partner come here and realize how irregular my eating schedule was, and me realizing too, starting to realize like, okay, something's happening, but trying to kind of like ignore it. I knew my body was aching. I knew my hair, especially in the front, was really starting to thin. I had like a much thicker hair before, and I know that some of it's hormonal, your hair changes, my hair's gotten wavier, but I also felt as of recent, in the past few weeks, it's been thinning a lot. My body's been aching a lot. I've been having chest pains, and I noticed I wasn't eating, and at first I thought, okay, I battled seasonal depression, so I said, okay, my eating probably is like, me not eating is probably a good sign, because usually around this time of year I pack on a bunch of weight. So I thought, oh, I'm not eating, it's good. And then I started having these symptoms, and then my partner brought it up, and the way it ended up coming up was because we were going through our own stuff, and through that I didn't realize how much me battling this thing, this elephant in the room, because that's pretty much what it was. There were other things, like we're both imperfect people just trying to date and be with each other and love on each other. But what I didn't realize was a big elephant in the room was he was watching me like not take care of myself, and he didn't want to feel like he couldn't tell me. But he also didn't know how to tell me, and didn't want to hurt me, because he could tell I was getting sensitive when it came to talking about it. So he decided to, I think it led to, because it was this elephant in the room, it led to a point of frustration that things weren't being communicated, and things weren't being communicated on both ends. But for me, and what this is about is the lack of communication or expression of what was happening, between me not feeling comfortable enough to share it and him not feeling comfortable enough to tell me, which is completely understandable given that we live in a society where it's normal for us to say things like, I'm not hungry right now, or I don't know, like, I'd rather sleep than eat. Or when we eat, it's emotional eating, because now we're eating when it's normal to see a girl who's going through a breakup eat a whole like pint of ice cream. Like, that's depicted often in like media. So we have these images of like associating food with emotion, and then we start eating or not eating when we are feeling different emotions. And that's what I was doing, and I hadn't realized how much it was actually hurting the person I loved and people I love. I hadn't realized that I was hurting myself. I feel a lot of shame and guilt, because I feel like I hold a lot of responsibility as to the person I want to be in the world and the things I want to do. And I can't say I want to help people live their best lives, and I can't say that I want little girls to look up to me and be inspired by me if I know that I'm secretly battling this disorder. For me, it looks like disordered eating. Clearly, it flares up when I'm stressed and I'm anxious. But there's also people who battle more severe forms, which look like eating disorders. And there's 4 types of eating disorders. Again, I'm going to my book. Anorexia nervosa, which looks like someone who eats under 500 calories a day. They purposely starve themselves from food, and they avoid food and sometimes water, or sometimes they'll find ways of cutting down how much they can eat. That goes to the next diagnosis of an eating disorder, which is bulimia nervosa. Someone who's bulimic might eat but then throw up what they eat. So if that is something that you notice that is a pattern that you do, I would definitely say that might be something to consider and to speak to a health professional about. Or just speak to someone close to you. I think that I'm deciding to share this on YouTube because I want to be held accountable. It is very vulnerable to tell the world that you are battling a disorder, but I also think that if more people, especially women of color, especially younger women who speak on this, older women, whoever, like, I just feel like more people of all walks of life should be speaking about what they are experiencing, to let people know that you're not the only one. We are all going through this together. Next is binge eating disorder. Binge eating disorder is someone who might not eat for super long periods of time and then eat. I think that I have done that. I noticed that there are times that I don't eat for long periods of time and then barely eat. But things like not eating for a day and then fasting and then eating something that's like fast food or junk and not healthy and kind of starving yourself so that you can treat yourself. I normalized it, and it was normalized around me, and I'm here to say that I'm realizing it's not healthy. I do not feel well. I want to feel better. And I am honestly doing everything in my power now to do what I can to feel better. The last one is eating disorder unspecified. So that could be a combination or a range of any of those combinations. So some people starve themselves, and then when they do eat, they throw it up. Some people may not eat at all, and they just are just in starvation mode. Some people may binge eat and then throw up, so that's a mixture of binge eating and bulimia. Some people may take laxatives. For me, as I mentioned, like, I was constantly detoxing. I did an amazing detox, which I do recommend, but not for someone who is struggling with an eating disorder. It is for someone who is really trying to clear their system of poisonous foods, and I will talk about that in another video for those people. But that detoxing is healthy. Fasting can be healthy. It can be great for a spiritual practice, but all of these things should be done with someone who is a health professional, someone who has an understanding of food and diet guiding you. And I do think people who have experiences and can share knowledge around you are just as vital as people who are, I should say, legally experts or have the certifications. I think both of those things hold value, but I would say most importantly, follow your intuition and listen to your body. You can only know how you feel when you choose to eat something or drink something or not eat something or not drink something. And I think following those guides can really help you. I'm realizing that a big part of battling disordered eating is realizing that you have to mentally tell yourself and kind of block out the mental fog, because I mentally knew that I should be eating, but I almost felt like I didn't have to. Like somehow, because of what was going on in my head, I was able to stop my body from desiring food. And that's, as powerful as that is super dangerous. Humans need food. Eat 3 times a day. Eat more if you need, if you're hungry. Tune into when you are hungry and listen to those cues. And really be mindful of what your body's telling you. I'll give some of my other symptoms just so, like, if anyone can relate to this, they can and see themselves in it, then maybe they could say, like, okay, I might need to rethink my diet. And I'll leave some questions with you regarding that will let you, like, that should help you navigate that thought process. Another thing is obsessive calorie counting. If you're counting calories obsessively, if you are working out excessively, these are signs of disordered eating and an unhealthy relationship between your body, between food and exercise. Another thing is control issues. I've talked a little bit about that, but if you're someone who, like me, I'm super empathetic and I'm very sensitive to my environment. So I think that sometimes by controlling my environment, I feel like I'm doing something. Like if I can feel lighter because I'm not eating, or control, like I don't want to feel bloated because I was eating all the wrong things, I would just not eat instead of just actually eating the things that didn't make me bloated. So it's finding the balance in what you're doing. Another thing is a lack of energy. I was battling, excuse me, I'm burping because I did eat today. But I was battling a lack of energy and aches and pains because I was literally like, oh, I'm just tired. It's seasonal depression. It's just the weather. It's cold. I'll feel better. And honestly, I wasn't eating enough. My body was like, I don't want to say dying on me, but if you are not feeding your body, your muscles will start to ache. Your skin will start to dry. My acne, my skin started breaking out more. My menstrual cycle came, but it came a little later, and it also was just very liquidy. That doesn't feel good for me. And if you're watching this and it doesn't feel good for you, know that it's okay to let go of that control and to surrender to knowing that you can change. Like, this situation can change, and you don't have to be, you don't have to feel like you need to control your food, because what it actually is doing is controlling you. And that's what I realized. And it took me almost losing someone I really, really care about because I didn't take care of myself to realize how much more I needed to take care of myself. Yes, I was doing all the self-care things. I can deep condition my hair. I can get my nails done. I can wear makeup. I can sunbathe. I could go to the beach. The list goes on. I could journal. But if I'm not actively doing the work that's in that journal entry, or dealing with the relationship that's triggering or awakening, I shouldn't say triggering, but awakening the actual issue that's there, then it'll always persist. And I just didn't want that. I don't want that anymore. What else do I have here? Yeah, if you are someone in a healthy weight and you still find issues, imagine, like, I'm at a healthy weight and I'm battling with this. I have gone days where I've just had a salad, and that's probably 500 calories for the day. And I've done that many times. And I've made excuses as to why I couldn't eat because I wasn't hungry, and I really didn't feel hungry, but I knew it was me mentally telling myself not to be hungry. I want you to know that it looks like this. Anorexia can look like this. Bulimia can look like this. Binge eating can look like this. Because
I know, these videos are cutting off at like the most inconvenient times, but if you really enjoy my videos, you can watch the fourth part and the third part next.